Hey everybody, hope you're having a great day. On April 5th of this year, 2024, I had the distinct pleasure of seeing my good buddies Antiseen perform at the Westside Bowl in Youngstown, Ohio. Venue was great. If you're in Youngstown and have a chance to see a show there, do it. Fun place. Sound was amazing. It's a bowling alley, but it also has a record store in there and a bar and food, and Antiseen, of course, was awesome. So if you get to see any of their upcoming shows, do so. You won't be disappointed. Anyways, I bring that up because the last time I was in Youngstown was in May of 1993, and that was to see GG and the MJs play at the Penguin Pub in Youngstown, Ohio, which I don't believe is there anymore. I had moved from Tampa, Florida, where where GG stayed with me, and we did all the work, Carnival, all the rest of it, up to Columbus, Ohio, and GG and I, of course, we were on the phone a lot during that time, and I hadn't seen GG though since I visited him in Jackson Prison, which I'm going to do an episode about our visit in the future. So that was an that was an interesting visit, but we'll talk about that some other time. But we had been in touch a lot, and so it was relatively close, Columbus. So I was pretty excited to see GG. Just to talk to him, see him in person again. And so I arrived at the show early, and, I had just purchased a new vehicle, and GG was giving me a little gruff because I hadn't got the album out yet, but I got a vehicle, and he was giving me a little... breaking my chops a little bit about, having enough money to get a vehicle, but not having enough money to get the album out. And I was trying to explain to him, which he knew, of course, that it was easier to get a car loan than it was to, ask a bank to release the record. So anyways, it was nice seeing him. We were just BSing him, whatever, and having a few beers before the show. And we were sitting at the merch table, and this is really early. There wasn't a lot of people there, but there was a fan there that came up and was talking to GG and bought a few things or whatever, and GG was being real cordial to him. It was real early in the night or whatever, but he had a pitcher of beer and he offered GG some of the beer, and GG said, no thanks, but can you go get me a shot and maybe a bottle of beer at the bar? And kid's like, oh sure, GG, anything, whatever. And so he goes to the bar, and GG just looks over at me with that. He had this little way of smiling and had this glint in his eye when he was being, being a little mischievous or whatever. And I knew something was coming, so he grabs the pitcher of beer and he puts it underneath the table, and you can imagine what happened next. And then he puts the pitcher of beer back up there real quick, and the kid comes back and with GG's stuff, and then he's offering me some of this beer, and I was like, no thanks, man, and so he pours the beer and takes a big hit of it, a couple chugs of it, and GG and I are just kind of chuckling, but that's just kind of stuff that happens at a GG show when you're dealing with that. It was all in good fun. Anyways. So the band room was down in the basement, and we were down there hanging out, and I got to meet some people I hadn't seen before, who I'd been in contact with, so that was kind of cool. Got to meet Dino for the first time and talk to him, and of course he praised the virtues of the Lunatics and told me how they were the best thing on earth, and we all know about Dino and the Lunatics, so that was fun, and it was just a good vibe all the way around. I believe this was the first show of the tour, so at that point people were pretty high spirits. Everything was good. The security for this show in Youngstown was pretty beefy. The guys were in camo, and they weren't messing around. If you got out of line or whatever, it was just one of those things. Anyways, the show for a GG show was nothing out of the ordinary. You know, I think he did 6 or 7 songs, and he had asked me to stay by the door to the basement to kind of watch where the band stuff was and everything. So I did, and so I wasn't real close to the stage or anything like that. But being that it was the first show, GG wasn't going over the top or anything, but it was still a GG show. In fact, one kid, I think there was an exit door, if I remember right, by where the band room was, but they had that blocked off. So the only way you can get out of the club was by the stage. So this kid comes up to me, and he's pretty racked up pretty hard. He's kind of bleeding, and anyways, he's begging me, please open the door, I gotta get out of here. And I said, look, man, I can't, I don't have the keys, there's nothing, that's the band room, and the only way to get out of here is by the stage. And the kid was just he freaked out and just ran away, freaking out, and I don't know whatever happened to him. But it was just, again, these are things that happened at a GG show back then. So the show ends, and we're all down in the basement and hanging out, and Gigi's kind of fired up, and I actually think he did that show, if I'm not mistaken. He didn't actually become unclothed in that show. I think he was had something on the whole time, and anyway, so down in the basement after the show, we were all hanging out. It was good spirits. Gigi's running around just being Gigi, and I think everybody was, pretty up at this point. And of course, Gigi was, running around grabbing people's crotches, just, he liked to do that at times, I guess. And but so the show ends. Not much fanfare. I guess there was some chaos that happened outside, but, we were down in the basement, and, all the antics that were upstairs and outside, I didn't really see any of or participate in. There might be some stories and videos that people have or whatever, but it's the end of the night, and we're getting ready to leave, and this was the significant part of the evening for me, and that was that I was getting ready to go back to Columbus, and it was Gigi and I by my vehicle, and we kind of were just saying our goodbyes or whatever, and closing up the evening, and he hugged me, and I thought that was really weird. He embraced me, and then he pulled back and he said, I'll see you later. And we both looked in each other's eyes. And there was a very long pregnant pause when he said that. And I think we both knew what he was saying. And, he was saying goodbye. That was the last time that I was going to see Gigi on the planet. He knew that. I knew when we had that exchange, I knew what he meant. We both knew what it meant, and that was that. A month later, in late June, Gigi passed away in New York City. We all know the story there. So, but it was a melancholy ride on the way home, because I knew what it meant. I knew that was the last time I was going to see him. That was a drag, but it was inevitable. We all knew at some point, and the rest is history. So that's my story about Youngstown, Ohio, and the Penguin Pub. And I'm going to be starting the stories about how the heck I got involved with GG in the first place, and how it evolved that we ended up making the country record and the acoustic stuff, and the Ann Arbor incident book and all the rest of it. So those stories are going to come next. I will say, of the 3 shows that I did see Gigi at, the Penguin Pub show was the most, quote, mellow, if there is such a thing. Wasn't anything like the Disappointments or the Space Fish show, for whatever that's worth. But anyways, last time I saw Gigi alive, so that was a drag, but like I said, it was inevitable. If you like the channel, like the stories, hit a like, hit a subscribe. I appreciate the support very much, and I'm going to be telling more of these kind of stories with Tiny Tim, stories with Sleepy LaBeef. I tried to do a project with Abdullah the Butcher, the old hardcore pro wrestling guy. That died on the vine. We'll be talking about that at some point too. So anyways, thanks for tuning in, you guys. I appreciate it. Have a great night, day, or whatever, and we'll see you next time. Take care.